Everyone, it's evening here. So I am on the leadership team for The Successful Male, and I'm also Ron's business partner in Ron Ultra International, and I also have my own property development business.
I think you're going to touch upon a very interesting topic on financial independence, and then specifically being a woman. If you know, how is that what you have felt as a challenge or the opportunity in the real estate and the finance sector? Because even today, especially in India and some of the probably Indian countries or maybe some of the Gulf countries, there are still challenges of women thinking that they may not be able to survive financially, or they cannot manage their finances and look towards financial independence. So how do you look financial independence, a completely different aspect from normal accounting principles? I'm sure there are differences. So how do you look towards that?
How do I look towards becoming financially independent as a woman? Is that
so how do you feel that how a women can kind of achieve financial independence, and how it is important for having financial education for a women?
It's key for women to have financial education, and it starts with it starts at childhood, and it's just not young girls, it's also boys as well. I have 2 boys, and I'm already educating them at age 5 of how to invest, how to look at money, how to save. We have to be starting with our children, and being part of the Successful Male. I'm a successful woman because I have many successful men around me who have taught me a lot about the finance industry. One, Mr. Malhotra, and also who have encouraged me to follow my own dreams, to follow my own passions. I think for women, there are some obstacles when we have children. What does that mean in relation to our financial independence when we marry? It does vary from culture to culture, but I think from my...
Dolly, I'm connecting with you from Mumbai. So actually, it's very interesting, as you said, that children should be taught about money and finances at a very young age and should be introduced to the concept of savings. Actually, in India, we have this tradition, yet there is a culture of giving money, then gifts when there are festivals or birthdays. This is how we introduce the concept of money to our children. I mean, this is how all children in India learn about money. And then they have their own piggy banks where they save. Now, I need to understand that at times when we are trying to teach them about finances, they start growing up to believe and with an ideology that which also kind of is negative. Where they say, this is my money, this is not my parents' money because I got them. And then they will decide at a very young age, at the age of maybe 8 or 9, that how they want to spend that money. So then we have to tell them that no, although it's your gifts and it's your money, but then you can't really spend them. And then they come and tell us that no, it's my money now, it's not your money. So then how do you, at such a young, all this time that we are telling them that it's your money, you got to save, you have to learn to do that, but at the same time to learn them to make wise decisions, how to use that money.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example of my boys. So how I speak to them about money is, okay, you get your money from your grandparents. My boys get similar money as well. So you might get $100, and I always say to them, you can have some now that you can spend, but then you have to put some away for future. And every time you get money, whether it's pocket money or it's a gift, I have this worked out with them that they get to decide how much they get to decide that for about 70% of that money, they can choose how they want to use it. But 30% has to go into an account that they get to choose later how to invest. So Ron's actually helping me to design the boys a portfolio of shares so they can actually see how that 30% is being invested. They can see the companies that's growing in. You know, you need to give children the reason. You know, just saying to them, this is for your future, they don't understand. Like, you know, my 5-year-old, he just goes, but Mum, I just want a gun. I just want a gun, a Nerf gun, a toy gun. And it's like, but, you know, trying to tell him that he's not going to like that in 10 years, he doesn't understand it. But saying to him, you know, do you want a car, or being able to put other tangible things later and give him that, but also helping him, like the share portfolio we're putting together, my boys are researching the kind of shares. And so they're starting to get to know companies, they're starting to understand business. But it's not taking their choice away. It's giving them their choice, yeah, but helping them to make smart decisions. Does that make sense? So I have an agreement with my boys that they get 70% of whatever to spend on whatever, and they have to put 30% away to invest, and then we do that together. And that's a principle that will lead them, you know, as they grow. And, you know, I have to give credit to Ron Maholtra because he's taught me that principle. So it's, you know, it's a very important one. And I know as a child, my dad made me do it, and that's why I bought property at age 15. So I have the example to say to my son, that property that we own is because it's especially important with girls, because in girls sometimes girls aren't given as much business education or viewed. We don't need to teach girls money. We actually do. We do need to teach girls the principles of money, and we need to encourage women to understand the principles of money, how to save when they start working and actually create their own wealth. So I have my own wealth separate to my husband's. And I would, you know, and I think that is crucial that we are teaching these skills to children, but definitely young girls.
As they say, a man is not a financial plan.
No. Definitely not. He's not mine.
Okay, great. So thank you so much, Ron and Caroline. I think it's quite late there, but before you kind of you know, leave us, I would say the session with a good note, of course. I would like to just share with you that we have got participants from 3 countries today, as of now, in the session. Australia is one where you are there. India and UK is also one of the country. Participants have joined in. As soon as this New York time is coming up, probably closer to 5 o'clock, 5:30, we will have participants joining in from there as well in the same meetup. So we are trying to cover up it in most of the geographies in various time zones. There are people here who are from Kuwait or Dubai as well who are watching it right now. So this is about the global locations at this point in time. In India, we have participants from 6 cities at this point in time. Delhi, NCR, which is Gurgaon, Bombay, then we have it Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Kolkata. So almost around 5 or 6 cities which we have participants here today. And thanks, Ron and Caroline, again for your time to spend and give a really insightful experience for all of us. We will definitely, yeah, sorry. Okay, so Ron, be aware, Poonam is asking a question now.
I'm glad it's for Ron.
It may not be.
But so it's a very small question. You guys have made me a monster. I'm not. So the question is this, Ron, and it's a very honest one. When we're talking about your daughter, how you're, telling her how to create a value and then ask for something in the consideration. I have a other aspect to it. What if when we are teaching that to the kids and we, let's say we really be like a little too hard with them that they have to create, let's say in this example, the painting which is really worth hanging on the wall. Is there a counter, reaction that can happen into a kid saying that I'm not valuable enough or something like that? How do you how do we tackle this?
Can I answer from a personal point of view?
Yes, yes.
Because my dad did that to me, okay, as a child. And it actually made me strive more. Of course, he was very kind in the way he did it, but he just didn't hand it over to me. And what it made me learn is that the more I put into it, the more I felt like I'd got more value out of it. And as he guided me, I kind of got, okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm not just, rushing's not actually producing anything. I'm actually getting value from what I'm producing. And then when I was a young woman and wanted to go into property, he did a very similar thing to me. I went for a year, he would come into properties with me and he would just give me the answer, no. We'd walk out and he'd go, no. Wouldn't give me any explanation of why. Most people would think it would deter you. It actually encouraged me. A year later, I could analyze any deal on the market. Yeah.
So one of the things we have to understand is that you don't want to, when you say we're being too hard, how are diamonds made? You have to cut and polish a stone over and over and over again before it starts to shine like a diamond. And it's not about being hard on my daughter. It's about preparing her for the real world, and it's getting her to think, and it's getting her out of that mindset where she's entitled. Entitled individuals fail. They fail because they're not used to the fact that they have to do the work before they get the rewards. And I don't want her to fail. So, sometimes what may seem to be cruel on the surface is actually being kind to our children. Right? And so we have to look beyond the surface and say, what is the intent and what is the outcome?
And I have a lot of female friends who have said to me, I wish my dad had taught me the financials. I wish my dad had actually challenged me.
You ask any employee today how hard it is to find good, resilient people. You can ask any employee today. It is very difficult because most people that are in the workforce today do not have the capability to put up with pressure for long periods of time. So it's not the pressure that breaks you, it's the inability to deal with pressure that breaks you. So I have to develop her abilities now while she's a child because the market is going to put pressure on her. The world is going to put pressure on her. And I want my daughter to be an absolute world-class leader. So the training begins at home.
True. Thank you, Ron.
Okay, so Ron, I think our WeWork Thane office has, Thane conference room has a question there. Nitin, you can, I'm just unmuting you and Shweta there can answer.
Hi Ron, good to see you again. This is Shweta.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, I have just one little question. When it comes to Indian culture, it's primarily, the parents have the ownership of providing their kids. It's like it's given that, as parents are supposed to provide, you're not supposed to enable the kids. They are enabled by the education system. Once they are out of the college, they'll enable themselves. And while you're providing it's a kind of investment, ironically, that one parent is making, that when they are left with old age or illness and all, so these providing the emotional support, providing the physical support and the financial support is going to yield with kids coming back to you. I want to understand from you, since you're targeting India, in terms of, you just mentioned about the paradigm shift and the education that you would want to bring in, and which starts with the parents first. So do you have something in mind, to counter this, and that it's okay for kids to go ahead and learn, to earn also, even if their parents are pretty well off, or they're in a position to provide. So how are you planning to do this?
Well, I think what's paradoxical for me is the fact that Indians, a country that is deeply rooted in spirituality, and the first rule of spirituality is faith. And faith is the opposite of fear. Think about that for a second. Faith is the opposite of fear. And in India, everyone believes that they're spiritual, yet they act out of fear, not faith. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to interpret what spirituality actually means, because obviously the parents mean well, their intentions are well, but the interpretation is distorted.
Yes.
And so they want to do the right thing by their children. They generally believe they're doing the right thing by their children by protecting them. But as I said, you don't create a diamond unless you polish it and you cut it over and over and over again. So the question to the parents, do you want to create these snowflakes? Do you want to create snowflakes that are going to crumble under pressure? Or do you want to create diamonds? And the process may seem very counterintuitive, but that's what it takes. So it's going to be challenging. I mean, yes, you're right. I don't even know how we're going to do this, but what we're going to do is, this is a movement. Everybody knows that there is something wrong in the culture, despite its merits, despite the merits of the education system. There are some things that need a bit of fixing. Everybody knows it. We all feel it. But now a movement grows when everybody feels the same way, and there is an exchange of information and energy. And then what happens is, you must understand every truth goes through 3 stages. Whenever a new truth emerges, at the first stage, it's violently opposed. Okay? At the second stage of the truth, it is ridiculed. People laugh at you.
Yeah.
And at the third stage, it's accepted as the inevitable truth. So we know that we're going to come to India and there is going to be opposition. People are going to say, oh, who the hell is this Westerner telling us how to live our life? Of course, I expect that. They're going to say, what does he think? How does he know anything about the education system? They're going to undermine me. They're going to criticize me. They're going to oppose me. I'm ready for it. Because I understand that I have to go through that experience in the beginning. But also, I also know that there's a lot of people starting to realize that the shift must happen and the time is now. The time is now. We all feel it. So we have to go through those 3 stages. I will be violently opposed. I'm going to be ridiculed. When I started the Successful Male, I went through the same thing. When Gandhi started his freedom movement, he went through the same thing. When Jesus started his movement, he went through the same thing. When Abraham Lincoln tried to change the laws, he went through the same thing. When Martin Luther tried to change the laws, he went through the same thing. When Nelson Mandela tried to change the things, he went through the same thing. We must go through the same thing. There is nothing to fear. You see, change always comes with resistance because most people are fearful of change. And especially if they lack education and awareness, they're the most fearful. But that's okay. We can't headbutt with them. There is no point trying to tell them that they're wrong. We just have to get them to see the validity of this new world. And it can be done. Anything can be achieved through the right dialogue and the right connection. And I really strongly believe that it can be done. You see, don't forget that I have parents who also had the same mindset. Did they shift their mindset? Of course they did. And I know other Indian kids as well. A lot of those Indian kids, their parents are my clients. We have these conversations. In the beginning, there's a little bit of resistance. Eventually, they understand. You have to take the time to explain it. But the thing is, as long as we understand why, and we have the patience, and we have the desire, and we have to consistently show up every day and share this message, and eventually it will become the inevitable truth.
Thank you, Ron.
It's nice to see you, Shweta. Thank you.
Same here.
Thank you so much, Ron, Caroline, and everybody here who are attending this.